Okay, so today we were talking about Mayan cichlids, often confused or debated for red terrors being better. This is specifically focusing on Mayans, why I think Mayans pose a better base in hybrids, what they've already been done with, and kind of where they could be used for in the future. I think a few big notes to take off of straight off the bat, just looking at Mayan as a pure species right off this photo, is its heavier face. Obviously has a beak to it, so any project's probably going to have to adjust for the beak. One thing that's really nice about it is this nice back. It doesn't taper like some of the other hybrids we see. This guy's got a nice square back, and then it's got these micro pearl structures, right? Could mean this species is pearl receptive, but let's go ahead and hop into the website, the hybrid examples, and start seeing what's been done with them, how it's affecting it, and where we could take this known knowledge and convert it into something really, really fancy in the future. Oh. All right, so we have Mayan jaguar up first. The only one of these I think that was born in captivity was this one. I think this is the F1 Mayan jaguar. This one and this one are both feral caught in Florida, which means that a population of Mayans and jaguars in Florida crossbred, and this is result whether it's F1, F2, F3, whether it was F1 to F1, F1 to F2, F2 to Mayan, F2 to Jag. This is what we have for that example. So, right off the bat, bring this over here. See that face comes in, which isn't unexpected for jaguar. I mean, right? I wouldn't say it's as blunt as a jaguar. I would say this one has more of the jaguar face. This one seems to have the Mayan face. Obviously, it didn't come in any facial purling or nuntial hump purling right here, or cross face, or net purling, whatever you want to call it. There's basically no facial purling over the ridge of the brow, over the mouth, over the lips, or over the side. But the entire backside of this is covered. And the backside of this is also not super tapered, which is a benefit in some hybrids depending on what you are looking for. This one's a little tapered. This one's pretty squared off. So this one looks... I like this one. I know this one isn't like... If I had this fish if I produced this fish, I would cull this fish, right? I don't like the face of it that much. I don't really like the color of it. The fins aren't amazing. But the fact that this is in very heavy tannin water that's stained dark is more affecting the natural selection of this hybrid. The fact it has so much purling and it has this square build to it, I really enjoy and I think would be really, really beneficial in the future. So, next one, Mayan Medevil. This one was another one that was also caught in South Florida. Obviously, the Mayan is affecting the mouth to be a little bit bigger than obviously a Midas, and is taking over that body shape. And the color's a little bit deeper. I wouldn't say it's extremely deeper, as the Medevils in South Florida do range from like a bright yellow orange color to super nice dark red color. So it could be the Medevil genes doing this. But overall, for a solid fader, not the worst thing. Now we go to the red tiger moda, to the Mayan. Now this one has two interesting things going on it, because you have the Mayan, then you have the sexual dimorphism of the RTM. Now sexual dimorphism just basically means that the male and female present differently in a species. Now obviously the Mayan female, or the RTM females, are usually a bit brighter than the males, and the males usually have a little bit more purling than the females. In this case, the female's colors on this, let's be honest, that's a solid coloration. It's not fantastic, it's not red, but it's a nice deep orange with a nice dark barring on it. The face could use fixed up a little bit. The fins could use more purling. But for straight color, this is not bad. If you were to do this cross, hold back the females. The females look fantastic. The issue is, you go down to the male. The male's face do not like this overly dark browner color. Do not like this scattered pearls, which I get. The scattered pearls kind of look like this one. This one shows in the F1 a better pearl base, though. So I prefer Jaguar in this instance. Now, a Jaguar RTM to a Mayan could be a possibly better base, or a Jaguar Mayan to an RTM Mayan crossed together for 50% Mayan, 25% RTM, 25% Jag, and have the Mayan realign and the alleles. I think it'll also be a decent mix. But this male right here is not doing it for me. It's not doing it for me. Maybe it's doing something for you guys, but for me, face, I do not like the face coloration. I mean, the female has the slope, and that's workable, but this is just, body, color underneath of it, not the best. Fins do have slightly more of a taper to them, and they do have more purling, but at the end of the day, if I was to produce any of these, I'd probably keep 1 or 2, maybe 5 females back and cull 90% of this clutch. And then we go into Mayan Sin. Now, this I think was done in Europe, but I cannot remember to save my life. What I think is really interesting about this is obviously it's got some of the slope. I wouldn't say it's an extreme slope, but it is there. But the coloration coming through, I think, is very unique. You have this darker orange coming here, and some dark pink, dark, maybe red. And this is F1. So obviously there's no realignment of alleles from the Sin yet to cause the reds to be super red. But for just straight color, let's see. For straight color, I feel like this has a lot of potential, right? I feel like this looks fantastic. Face isn't the hardest to fix at this point. The fins, I like the fins. Like, I'm a big fan for big trailing fins. Obviously, the tail is probably a little bit too long for the fin structures. It should kind of, come out, kind of paddle out like this. Maybe put in something with a fuller tail. Or is it not flexing its tail? Yeah, put something in with a fuller tail. But this is not bad. For an F1, this is doable. Like, this has a big range. Like, obviously, let's see. Sin is not my favorite Veha in the world. I understand it's made fantastic hybrids, and people have really put a lot of work into making them what they are. But to me, I feel like there's a better species. So, that hybrid we're looking at, right? That hybrid we're looking at, which that's not going to do it for me. I need that. Ooh, ouch. Is a mixture of Sin, which would be this. But this is a abnormality for how nice they are. Let's go on with like this, right? Where I'll open up an image, close the tab, bring it over next to the Mayan, and we'll compare it to the other one, right? Right off the bat, I think there's a lot of facial similarities between this and this. Obviously, the face is a little bit more rounded out, not nearly as pointy, right? And the colorations for a Sin, pretty basic, reds, blues, yellows. You come over here, nice reds, yellow, orange, right? Coming from this, honestly, not a bad color palette. Like, let's be honest, mine does not have a terrible color palette, especially when you're comparing it to something like a Red Devil. Haven't we seen the Red Devil without the fader gene on it? Like, you compare a Mayan to this. Look at this. This is a Red Devil without the fader. I would never keep this. This is uglier than a convict, in my opinion. I prefer a stronger bar system. I would prefer one like this. I don't trust that this one's a pure devil. I've seen a lot more pure devils look like this without the fader. So you're comparing a Mayan to an amp, Mayan to an amp, Mayan. And the AMP cause infertility issues where the Mayans so far have not shown any infertility issues in mixes. I feel like we write them off because they look like red terrors, kind of, and we're like, if we want better reds, we'll just go to red terror. Red terrors have had issues with dovii in the past. Mayans so far have not had any issues. So they look like kind of like an AMP, but with better coloration. They're pro-receptive. They're color receptive. And this is when I think we're getting into the really sweet spot. I think Horichthize to Mayan is the sweet spot for the beginning of Mayan hybrids. Now, all of these Mayan Texas examples I'm about to show you are wild caught in Florida, so I can't say they're F1 and I can't say they're F63, but knowing what we know from genetics, natural selection, and how certain genes work, we can kind of see that something's not F1, and we'll be able to go from there. So, this one right here, phenomenal. Look at the purling on this. Most people, if I showed this to them, they'd probably just think this is SRT or something like that. Like, it's an SRT horn. This is two species. It's two species put together, and it's got a fantastic orange base, and it's got a decent shape to it. Let's break down the shape. I mean, there's purling inside of the fins. The shape is this nicer. Obviously, without his finger or his thumb in the mouth, this would probably come down to a little bit of beak, like a Texas. But overall, this thing is a stud. And this is something that if I produced it, I would keep it full-time in my tank as a breeder for basically anything. Like, anything. We come down to the next one. Obviously, this one looks like it might be a gen or two into it. Natural selection has done a course and taken out some of the purling. Some of those purling genetics are still there. It's fighting between having more of an AMP and a Horichthize body shape. The fins honestly don't look bad, but the color is still there, so showing that the Mayan is able to push its color onto something that might not have a ton of color, which I think is beneficial. This male looks like this dude souped up to the max. He's got some facial purling, some cock purling. His body shape is so freaking square, it's insane. Sorry, it's my cat. My cat's been on crack right now, so she's back and forth. Fins look fantastic. I mean, wait 1 sec. It's Maisie. Fins look fantastic. They're not as long as the Veja ones that I do enjoy, but for the fullness of that shape, if this fin was out, it would basically make a seamless loop, which I like, which means that Veja Mayan Texas has a possibility of producing a really nice fuller fin set with also the, what do you call the, it's skipping my mind. Trailers? Skipping my mind right now. But I think that's good potential. Also, another Mayan Texas, nice colors coming through, more yellow than orange this time. Light purling coming through, bald spot on the face, more of a Texas shape to it, nice square body. Another one, this one's a lot less purling, looks like the natural selection got to it a little bit more. Small dot purling, probably from Cynogatus, as there's bigger Cynogatus population than Carpentis or Carpentis cyno in Florida. Then there's this bad boy, which this one probably, I would have to imagine this one's probably a couple gens down, inbred probably a little bit, selectively breeding the color out of it and the purling out of it to blend in a lot longer in this water type. But I'm going to come back to this one because this one I think has a very important shape for future stuff. Then there's this one, Turd, Cole, and then there's this bad boy, which is another Mayan Texas. Except this one has the nuntial hump, which if it's Texas, we know that nuntial hump from Texas are a watercock affected by behaviors of being around other males, dominance, and breeding. So this male has that ability to express that, meaning he's probably an F2, F3, F4, etc. down the line and has it. And his backside doesn't show the best in this video, also square. So Mayans so far have had a really strong time in building up that square shape, color receptive, and pro receptive. And this is going to lead me to my next point. Early gen flower horns were produced with Lohans, which I have to hold this over. produced with Lohans, right? Lohans were already an admixture of Veha, Hericthize, and Amph at the time. They were infertile, usually low coloring, usually not the best pearling. Here's two classic Lohans from Malaysia from back in the day. What do we see right off the bat from the Lohan base? We see some nice fins. We see a little nunchal hump. We see a flat face on basically both of them, and a square back. Obviously, I would say on both of them, the Hericthize stand out a ton, and the Amph is doing some damage to the coloration, and the Veha is helping with the face. But if we take this, can I copy this real quick? Control C. Ah! I can't. Yeah, no, I can't. Basically, if you compare this shape, so let's get close to it. Compare this shape. Oh my god, I hate this. To this. Just check this out. Nice big back, nice square shape. Maybe not the flattest face. This is two species versus multiple species. Two species. Oh my god. Two species versus multiple species. It's got a pretty close base to it. Now, if we go back up to this one, bigger square back, bigger face, but square body. Look at that. Ooh, Jackson, they have similar shape. Doesn't matter. You know, does matter. Does matter. So let's go down to the next one real quick. This one, we're still going to hop back between the other twos. We're going to hop back between this one. This one doesn't really have a cock, but let's go down to the one with a cock. Oof, I hate doing that. Go down to the one with the cock, and come over to this one. This one obviously does not have a huge cock to it, which probably means this one's probably either a hard cock from Veha or water cock from Hericthize. And you might be like, well, Jackson, I want to produce something like a flower horn, but I want it to have a massive tumor brain that's hideous. Simple genetics. Have a giant flower horn cock is a water cock, hard cock, layered on top of each other, and then selectively bred to be bigger. Hard cock is from muscle and fat storage, so that one takes longer to usually grow. Like Vehas usually get them with longer age, where the Hericthize and Amph are water cocks, where it's more behavioral based, and grooming and putting other fish in it and making them be super aggressive will increase the hormones in their body to increase the size of their cock. Now, the benefit to this being the base of flower horn and basically later on being crossed out and then looped back to this base, then crossed out and then looped back to that base and crossed out and looped back to that base, is we can recreate the base of Lohan shape with Mayan Texas, which, we could create the same shape. We can create the same shape. We can create the same shape with better color, better fertility, and better pearling. Which, okay, what do I do with that information? With that information means we can then add Bridori to lighten the face without affecting the fertility. We can then basically recreate flower horn through selectively breeding and looping, and over time have a quote-unquote flower horn type hybrid, quote, because I want to be a flower horn because there's not Amph in it. But it could be close looking to it without any of the fertility issues, which is phenomenal. Like, the fact that that's even a possibility through breeding is fantastic. Like, fantastic. And it's not even that complicated. If you're like, I want to have my Lohan base to start off with that I want to make sure my flower horn voice is going to have, so I want it to make sure it has a nunchal hump, and I want it to have the Lohan shape. That's what I want my base to have. Cynogatus carpentis. You want a smaller pearl, you want a bigger pearl. Pick one of those two. Pick the one with a cock, a male with a nunchal hump, breed it to a Mayan. Then you have your F1s. Pick your F1s based off of your color, your shape, and your purling. Breed those together. In F2, you will get a percentage of males that will have better color, better purling, and better shape, but this time with a nunchal hump, which you can groom the males at a younger age with a mirror or opening the side so they can see each other and being territorial, but I would suggest the mirror. But you can groom them to show their nunchal hump faster. So once you have that nunchal hump, you can be like, I want to breed another generation. So you get to that'd be F2 has the nunchal hump. You could breed to F3 so you get more better males with better nunchal humps. Or you're like, I want to start my project now. I want to flatten that face out. So you would breed your nunchal hump male to a Veja. You take that F1 female back to your nunchal hump male. You can then groom those males out that are now 75% Mayan Texas, 25% Veja. See if they come out with the nunchal hump again. Then you can either breed that one out crossed again and then loop back, or you could take your 25% female, 25% Veja female back to your F2 Mayan Texas male if you're like, I want to increase that look again. And you can basically start doing these simple loops to recreate your own type of flower horn. Now you're like, well, I have my watercock and my F2 Mayan Texas is the perfect base. I now want to add the hardcock in. I want to shoot for giant cocks right away. What type of bases do we have in the U.S.? We have Vejas with them, so you could try to find a pure Biffa, Bridori, Sin, etc. Or you could talk to your hybrid breeders and try to find a hybrid with a nice hardcock already. Super Red Sin, super easy usually to find. Chris Rounds likes to bring them in. There's other sellers that will bring some other ones in. If I was to buy one, I'd probably go with a Super Red Sin from Chris, which would be produced by Yod most of the time. Or I would get what's called a Diablo Super Red Sin, which was recently created. And it was a Super Red Sin male to a Diablo 75 female. So the only reason I would use probably that over an import Super Red Sin is because I like the increase in Biffa. You know me, I like the Biffas. I think they have better coloration than Sins. But if you're to do your cocky F2 Mayan Texas male to a female that was cocky, or you take your F2 female Mayan Tex to a cocky Super Red Sin, you can then breed F1 to F1 again and have a chance of aligning both these alleles for the hardcock and the watercock to align, and you can groom it up to allow that watercock to show up, and then as it ages, watch and keep an eye out for the hardcock to start showing up. Or you could do a split loop where you would breed the F1 back to the Super Red Sin and an F1 back to the F2 Mayan Texas uncle. Now what this one gives you is a higher percentage of the back cross to the Super Red Sin, getting a higher percentage of males in that to get the hardcock, and the back cross to the F2 Mayan Texas to get a higher percentage of watercock. Now with this, you could take a watercock female to this hardcock male, cross them together. This gives you a chance because they're obviously one's 25% SRS, the other one's 25% Mayan Texas. This gives you a chance to realign the hardcock and watercock in F1 being 50-50 again. And you could then breed, in F2, keep an eye out for it, and then breed the F2s together and have a better F3, and then go from there. Like, there's a lot of options depending on how you want to play it out. I even bought a Mayan Texas specifically for this purpose. This is one of my projects I am very passionate about, is Mayan Texas being used into Veja, Parachromis, and Hericthys. I think Hericthys has the highest kind of like profitability right away. I think Mayan Veja has the second, and I think Mayan Parachromis has a third. But I think all three of them being combined in some facet has a very long-term importance to it that might be lost for now. People might not see it right now. This is something that I will die on a rock saying that Mayan's going to be something really, really good. I recently got them. I'm planning on doing a Mayan Hericthys project to start getting that stuff going. I'm not very worried about hardcocks, so if it's a male or a female, I ordered 2 Mayans from Rob's Aquatics. I recently talked to Rob, asked him if he would be able to collect Mayans for us. He was able to put it on his website, so now you can order Mayans, feral collected from Florida, straight to your tank. Obviously, if you're going to order them, treat them for parasites because they're wild collected. But having this option now is I ordered 2, and they're going to go to a Hericthize based. I might even cross them to a Veja right away as well. And I'm going to start working on what I'm going to be calling the Mayflower, right? This is going to be my flower horn type-esque hybrid, the Mayflower. It's Mayan based. It's replication of the flower horn, so May for Mayan, flower for flower horn. It's pioneering something, so it's going back to the Mayflower that brought the Pilgrims over. I think long term this has a lot of legs that if it's just put on and people work in groups, this could be amazing. I think this could be fantastic for fertility as well. Like the long term effects of this, I think it could be fantastic. Like even if you're not going for recreating flower horn from the ground up, right? If you have a flower horn that has a tapered back, Mayan could be something that you could add into it to fix it. You could do flower horn to Mayan, F1 back to flower horn, F2 back to flower horn, F3 should basically be 87.5% flower horn and should take most of that flower horn look back. You might have an increased color and then the increased back side being squared out, which I think would be beneficial for a lot of flower horns. I see a lot of them. Instead of having a square back, they're more like a tapered back and then like a weak tail. I don't enjoy that as much. But I think Mayan cichlids have a huge influence on what's going to come here in the couple of next years, especially out of my stock. Personally, I think Mayans are going to be fantastic. So if you guys have any thoughts or any details of what you might want to see with Mayan or what your thoughts are on my thought process of this species, let me know, comment. It benefits me. Subscribe. I am going to be trying to drop about 2 videos a week. Lord willing, as long as I have time. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I've got about a lot of more species to cover and a lot more in-depth breeding loops to go over, so definitely stay tuned.